losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast.
So if you're still running the lead acid batteries in your RV, tired of babysitting them like I was, this video might help you out. I pulled out the old lead acid battery bank and installed this 460 amp hour iron phosphate 12 volt battery by Vatrer. I'm not sponsored. I paid for this stuff myself. I'm going to show you why I did it, what worked, what didn't work, because this setup isn't magic and it might not be right for everyone. So this is real RV use, not a sales pitch, so let's get to it. So as you know, if you had the old lead acid battery setup, you had to babysit it a lot, checking the acid. You could only use 50% of the charge in at the depth of discharge. So once you install it, I took the other batteries out and it fit right in. Mounts, it fit right between the standard battery mounts. Yours may not be the same. I'm still in the process of installing this because it was a test version of what I wanted to do. So the basic rundown of what I did was ordered the battery and ordered the BMI 225 smart relay, because the alternator on the motorhome puts out enough amperage, but this battery draws so much amperage so fast that it could burn up the alternator. So the smart relay, you could also use a DC to DC charger, I know. Very simple unit to put in. Battleborn sells it. You basically hook it up where your big boy relay was. This is Class A specific. And you have to run a trigger wire for your ignition. Some of them have auto starts in the back by your motor, some don't. So what I did was I found the battery boost or salesman's button in the front, found that wire that came back here and triggered the big boy relay, tied it to the ignition switch, the hot side of the ignition switch, because I don't need that button anymore. And now I have my 12 volt signal here with a spare wire. You run a negative up to the unit. Now the relay cycles on and off, senses voltage as it's charging, so your alternator doesn't get overheated while you're driving or sitting and idling. That also came off Amazon. People are going to ask about the bird relay, which is the same thing as the battery monitoring that you have in your unit. That is completely gone now. This relay replaces all that. So it senses battery voltages, changes back and forth. I have battery disconnects for chassis and house. I keep the house batteries on in the shop while I'm plugged into shore power. Chassis batteries off. I also went, because of the charging, I also added solar 400 watts, which I'll do a video on that later, to top the batteries off. So after installing the new smart relay, the battery, wiring it in, and bringing the solar in, I also added a Vatrer 80 amp 12 volt charger, again from Amazon. Reason I did this is the alternator will charge the battery to 100% if I'm driving. But if you have the old Magnum inverters in your vehicles, this is Class A specific, I don't know what you have in your towables, but your inverter, I'll show you in a second, only charges at 13.7 volts. This requires 14.7. So that inverter, the old Magnum or Xantrex, I have the Xantrex Freedom 458. This will only charge the Vatrer, the 460 amps, to roughly 80% because of the voltage output, which is fine because I added the solar if I'm not plugged into shore power to top it off. The engine will charge it to 100%, so will being plugged into the Vatrer charger I bought will charge it to 100% in no time. As for the bidirectional isolator, you no longer use it. It's completely disconnected. 458 that I have, the Freedom series, like I said, only puts out 13.7 volts to charge. So you get 80% charge on your battery, which leaves the other 20% to be topped off by my solar or by driving down the road. Plus I decided to add the Vatrer battery charger, which plugs into 120 volts. So run the generator, turn your generator on, battery charger takes off, smart charger, it will charge the battery and top it off. The solar will top it off, or the engine running will top it off. There's 3 sources to keep this at 100%. Now the question is, who does this upgrade benefit? Personally, it benefited me because I wanted longer run times off battery for boondocking. It charges very fast, versus a lead acid. I can run the TVs, coffee pot, everything through the inverter, and it doesn't run down like your lead acids. No more worried about stuff in the middle of the night running out. It's really nice how fast this battery recovers on charge. Especially with the Vatrer, I plugged it in at 80% and it charged it up in a matter of 30 minutes. It has a little timer on it that shows you how long before full charge. Now with adding the Vatrer charger, it gives us the option to charge with an extension cord, either off the generator obviously, or shore power or whatever if the solar's not working at the time. So with the overall install, I still have to clean up the battery cables, tie everything back. I've had it in here 6 months. I've made a few changes with the routing of the cables, and I'm going to do some more. Paint the tray because the old batteries, the acid and stuff got in there. So now we can move on to the Bluetooth connection of the Vatrer battery. I think it's one of the great features of this thing. Allows you to monitor your battery from just about anywhere. You have Bluetooth connection. The app doesn't work in the driver's seat on my phone. Kind of got to be closer to the back. So what I did, was I went and got this cheap little tablet off Amazon. I think it was $29. Velcroed it to the wall, so I had a way to monitor everything. So there's a Vatrer app. You pull up the Vatrer app, you turn it on, it says success. You go to your dashboard, tells you how full your battery is. Really great app. Shows you balancing. It's charging at 1.5, 1.8 amps. As you can see, if you turn things on and off, your wattage draw. If it's a negative, obviously it's using it. It goes into temperatures, all the cell balancing, floating and charging. Real nice all-in-one app. Also, with this little tablet, also added the solar. So the solar charger from Victron is on here. So you have a nice little command center to put all your stuff on at one time. There's one caveat to this. The Vatrer battery cannot be used to tie together with your start batteries on your motorhome to jump your motor over if these batteries are drained down, because the outrush, the amperage output on this, is not meant for starting as they are on the lead acid or the AMGs. What I do, and this is just me, is I have taken and I carry a jump box with me, a NOCO 2500 amp. So if for some reason the chassis batteries were to get run down, I have a jump box that's capable of starting this motorhome. That way I'm not relying on tying batteries together and making that work for the start system. Just another thing that I do that's not for everybody. A lot of people like the idea of having the button up front. They can push the button, jump all the batteries together, start the motor, and let it all charge as time goes on. If you do that, this is not the system for you. If you can live without the battery boost button and tying all the batteries together in case your chassis batteries go down, this is a great system. Works phenomenal. I've ran my TVs and everything all night, never had a problem with it. So in closing, you can do this by replacing the lead acid batteries. Just got to make sure you isolate your alternator so you don't burn it up. You can use a DC to DC charger, as I mentioned before. I didn't, because I'm a simpleton and I love the simplicity of the smart relay. I like the idea that I have infinite charging, quick charging. I don't have to worry about batteries charging taking days to top off and maintain. This thing charges exceptionally fast. Having the option to charge the battery with the Vatrer charger off the generator in an emergency situation or a very cloudy day that I didn't want to run the motor is a great option and charges extremely fast, where lead acid batteries can take days to fully charge, and if you're using them you run into the whole never really recovering from yourself. This charges exceedingly fast. I think if this was completely drained down and you use the 80 amp Vatrer charger, 4 hours, maybe less, maybe a little bit more is what they're saying for charge time. So is it a viable option? Yes. Is it for everybody? Absolutely not. This is something that if you're looking for the added storage capacity of a battery for boondocking, off-grid, this is an ideal situation. Battery technology has come so far along that the lead acid stuff is so labor intensive to take care of. So much energy goes into keeping them up, keeping the batteries checked. It just isn't worth it. This is just a plug and play, really maintains itself. The biggest concern is just keeping it clean, keeping it in a dry environment. The only other issue is if you're going to be in cold climate, this is my model is not a self-heating. You can order the self-heating one. It's a couple $100 more. Do I think it's worth it if you're going to be in a colder climate? Absolutely. These batteries don't charge very well below 32 degrees. They actually shut off at a certain point and come back on. So the self-heating option is definitely a plus in the future. I'm going to stay with what I have because I plan on staying in warmer climates when it's cold out. I'll follow up more on this, but if you want to know more about what's going on, again, the website's in the description. You can go on there, email with any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them or give any advice. Thank you, guys.